we have your weekend Apple
They
news.
say that knowledge is a gift, but I feel
Welcome back to the channel. So my regulars know what we do in the weekend. We go through the weekend Apple news. We have some fun. So we kind of get away from kind of the more serious topics. Sit back and relax. I usually have a beer with the Apple news. Today I have a Hofbrau Original, one of my favorite beers of all time here from Germany. I've been there many, many times in Germany, so I'll show some pictures here. In any case, I go through about 15 or 25 different Apple-related news stories. Today's going to be a little bit shorter because of the holiday. And then I throw in a couple different tech product sales. They could be Apple sales or just any tech products in general. I have a couple sitting here. So sit back and relax and let's have some fun on the weekend with the Apple news. So I hope everyone's having a good weekend. That's good. And now we're going to start with story number one here. Story number one, basically, it's from 9 to 5 Mac, and it's interesting because, as you know, all the Macs came out. We got the additional 16 gigs of RAM, but we're still starting at 256 gigabyte of storage, right? So here's an article from 9 to 5 Mac. It says, Apple Intelligence now requires almost double the iPhone storage it needed before. So now you need more storage because of Apple Intelligence, not just RAM. It says right here, Apple Intelligence arrived in a compatible iPhone, iPad, and Macs via a staggered rollout. There are new features launched in both iOS 18.1 and 18.2. Now we know exactly how much those additional features are using. So it says Apple Intelligence now requires 7 gigabytes of free storage per device. So 7 gigabytes of storage is required. And it says, we'll get into this in a second, but, that doesn't seem like a lot, but the whole OS is only like 30-something at the most. It says, when the first wave of Apple Intelligence features arrived in 18.1, Apple published a variety of requirements for use. Among those were 4 gigabytes available. So the very first release only needed 4 gigabytes of space. Now we're up to 7 with 18.2. So it went up 3 gigabytes just in that one release. And then go on to say down here, it says, we always knew that the 4 gigabyte requirement would increase over time as more AI features debuted. But now we know exactly, it almost doubled basically from 18.1 to 18.2 up to the 7. So it's not quite double, but it's getting closer. The same 7 gigabyte number applies to whether you're using an iPhone, iPad, or Mac. So they're all the same storage, whether it's on a Mac, which might be a little bit easier because you usually have more storage on a Mac versus some of these other things like an iPhone. So an iPhone, if this gets up to 10 or 15 or 20 gigabytes eventually, that's going to be, a big portion of your phone, right? So you may have to worry about this. In any case, long story short, they'll get you one way or the other, and we're all going to have to pay up. So I hope the next iteration of Macs with the M5s, the new iPhones, are going to all up their game, especially the Macs. I think it should start with around 512. Okay, for story number 2, we know that basically the M5 MacBook Air is coming out very soon. And I did a whole article last week on the Apple News here, and I went through and I talked about, they think it's coming out sooner than later, so it could be coming out as early as the end of this month or somewhere in February. It's coming out a lot sooner than people thought. It wasn't going to be March. We think it's going to be sooner before that spring event. That's number 1. But here it is. This is the thing that I wanted to get across. This is kind of good news here. Mac Rumors says new MacBook Air models coming soon with these rumored features. One of Apple's first product announcements of 2025 will likely be the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Airs with the M4 chip, so we know that's coming for sure. All right, so we already know what to expect, but there's one little thing in here that I didn't expect, and we'll get to that in a second. So it says expected features here. We know that the M4 chip, obviously, says it's going to be 25% faster than the M3. We know that. Longer battery life is going to be in here as well, so we also know that. If you scroll down here, we know it's going to have 16 gigs of RAM. That's not going to be a big issue there. We know that's coming. No major external design changes. We know that as well. But down here, the thing that got me, it's going to have the center stage camera and some other things, desk view. This is what got me. It says the new MacBook Airs will likely be equipped with 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, whereas the current models only have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. So 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports versus 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. That's a big difference, and up to 2 external displays, even when the lid is open. So that's the thing I was excited about. So now we're going to go up not only faster ports, but we're going up to 1, 2, 3 of them instead of 2. And I actually thought they were going to stay with 2, just because they're trying to make that a little bit less of a intriguing for people, so they'd actually migrate up to the next level. But it looks like they're going to give us what we want: 3 ports. Now, if you're waiting on the AirPods Pro 3 coming out, it's going to be coming out later this year. They think it's going to be around September of 2025. So that's actually good news, right? They came out with, obviously, an updated kind of software version in 2024. But what are the new features coming out on these things? What do we think? Right here from 9 to 5 Mac, AirPods Pro 3 new features that are coming this year. If you scroll down, obviously the first one's going to be pretty obvious, brand new H3 chip. According to Mark Gurman from Bloomberg, AirPods 3 will come with the brand new H3 chip. It's going to be better sound quality, just better engineering behind it. So we know that's going to be coming. That's not really a big issue there. The next thing, obviously, that we're kind of expecting, but maybe people didn't know, a new AirPods Pro 3 design. Gurman also reports that the AirPods 3 are getting a new design. That's unfortunately all of the info we have right now on the redesign. So we even heard things like they were going to be putting cameras in there, but we think that's going to be in 2026, 2027, and some other kind of sensors for more of the AI stuff. But we don't know if that's coming. It could very well, because they're doing this major redesign right now. And then the third thing they know about for sure right here is the upgraded noise cancellation feature. One of AirPods Pro's 2's biggest selling points, at least for me, was the improved active noise cancellation feature. Apple, according to at least one report, is planning to bring similar upgrades to the next AirPods Pro, so we would expect that as well. Now, what are some of the wild cards here? It says new health features. It says it could come with heart rate monitoring, similar to what the Apple Watch offers, except they might eat into the Apple Watch there. Temperature sensing, plus new sensors that would enable a slew of psychological measures. So I don't know what that sounds like. That sounds a little creepy to me, and I think we went through that a couple of weeks ago, where, I don't want Apple to get too much involved in that, right? I don't think you guys do, or any company really. But at the end of the day, not bad. So looks like that's what's coming, and it's just really the design's going to be, I think strikingly different, and hopefully it'll, be good in the ears and fit really well. Okay, so now we have a couple sales for you here, and I'm going to go through, I think, 3 or 4 sales, and then we'll get back into the stories. These are not great, but here's a new kind of a low price alert. I always recommend these, or I always tell people about the low price alerts. Here it is right here from Amazon. This is the Apple Watch Series 10. This is the 42 millimeter case right here, jet black aluminum case. It's down at $329 right now. It's 18% off right here, and a whole bunch of different colors in here. The white here, or I guess that's a little bit of a beige or a pink. We got a blue color in here. These other ones are not available, it looks like right here, but $329, 18% off. It's usually $399. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but it says lowest in 30 days, and I think that's the lowest it's ever been. So if you're thinking about the Series 10 watch, now is the best time to buy it. Okay, this next little one here is, now I've used this company a ton, and I actually like them. I've had a bunch of their hard drives. They've worked really well. Here's one by SSK. It's a 1 terabyte USB drive. I had my eye on this one. External SSD up to 550 megabytes per second. You can see it here. So it's a little kind of, it's almost like a flash drive. You can see here, it's got USB-C on this side, USB-A on the other side. Comes in a nice leather case here. A couple other pictures here. The reason I would pick this up versus something like a flash drive is because flash drives are usually junk. This one's only $65 for the terabyte, and it's actually really, really fast. You can see it right here. I'm just going to show you some pictures as I'm talking about it. But that's actually a good price. It's now on sale at 23% off right here. I think that's a low price alert on that as well. But if you get down in here, I'm just going to go down all the way to the comments down here, and we'll see if we can find out what people are getting. You'll see here that the speeds are, flash drive, you might get 20 to 50 megabytes per second, somewhere in that range. And this type of thing, look at this, 553.92, 505. We'll click on some other one here, 559, 512. These are all kind of reviews here. So you can see that this is going to be way faster, and it's one of those little small kind of devices you can throw in your pocket or on your keychain. I recommend this company. I like them. And then we're still back on external storage. So if you still need external storage, maybe for a Mac Mini back there, also check out my video I just did, I think yesterday, the day before. It was about the interference in causing Wi-Fi signal loss. It's really kind of an important video. Definitely watch that and post your comments on it. We're going to have to test a lot more products now. But here's another one here. This is the Crucial X9 1 terabyte portable SSD. Again, I think this is a low price alert, $67.99. It's usually about $91, $92, somewhere in that range. And so what is this? It's a full terabyte. And the reason it looks kind of big here, it is an SSD, believe it or not. So if I go down to the pictures here, let me go in here. You can see how small it is. See that little, how, it's not like going to be the size of a full drive. It does say it's got, you can drop it up to whatever, 7.5 feet. But if you look at it there on some of these pictures, I'm just going to go here. It's about that small. So it's very, very small, like that. And it's actually another good drive if you don't want to carry something to the coffee shop and stuff like that, and you want a good drive. And just to back it up, we're going to go down here. What they claim is, obviously this is going to be like a 10 gigabit. It's not Thunderbolt 4 enclosure or anything like that. But as you can see in here, let's just get in here. Well, I know that there's a lot of people getting, around 1,000 and 990, which you can't ask for anything more than that in a device like this. A lot of times they only get like 900, 950. So if you're getting over 1,000 on a device like this, it's, it's gravy, trust me. Pretty good device, pretty good price right now. Pick it up. Again, I hope everyone's having a good weekend. It's freezing cold in Chicago. I think it's like down to like 20 or 15 degrees now. And we had a Blackhawks outside game in Wrigley Field, and they lost. It was terrible. Anyways, it wasn't even cold enough now, but now it's getting really cold. So here's our next story here. This is going to be from Mac Rumors, And this is kind of interesting to me because now Apple's launched a brand new product for the last, 13 years, but they didn't do it in 2024. And I didn't even catch that. So hold on here. Mac rumors. Apple broke a 13-year hardware streak in 2024. It says for over a decade, Apple has constantly announced all new hardware product lines from the iPad in 2010 to the Vision Pro in 2023. But for the first time in 14 years, Apple failed to announce any major new hardware products in 2024, focusing solely on updates and refinements. So this is the first time they came out with no products. And I was like, did they really come out with new products every year? And here's the list right here. 2023, Apple Vision Pro. We got the Mac Studio Display. You can see 2021 AirTag, 2020 Apple Silicon, MagSafe, iPhone ecosystem, HomePad Mini. You just go down the list here. You can see iPad Mini here in 2012, iPad in 2010, Thunderbolt display 2011. I mean, obviously there's some smaller ones and bigger ones in here, but still, they always had something new. 2024, they just try to make the things better. We got a better Mac Mini back there, I think. The other ones are kind of debatable. I mean, obviously the M4 chip's phenomenal, so it is getting better there as well. But phones and stuff, I mean, some of the phones seem like they're kind of stagnant. But you guys post in the comments. I mean, tell me if you think the lineup's sufficient in 2024, or are we looking for some new products? Okay, this next one, now we all think Apple's got the best kind of privacy and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think everyone agrees it's maybe one of the best. But then you get stories like this that kind of make you scratch your head. Here's one from Apple Insider. It says Apple agrees to a $95 million settlement to end privacy lawsuit over Siri recordings. So I'm thinking about this. It says Apple's agreed to pay $95 million to settle a proposal class action lawsuit accusing a company of violating user privacy due to conversations after accidentally activating Siri. So basically, filed in Oakland, the federal court on Tuesday sees Apple proposing a payment of $95 million. And it looks like, it's just crazy because it looks like there's, let me just see here. It says people that use these products between 2014 and 2024 with tens of millions of potential class members would receive about $20 per Siri-enabled device. So almost nothing, right? We're going to get nothing from this. It was just funny. I was reading through it as well because it says, the lawyers are going to charge up to $28.5 million and $1.1 million in other. They're going to charge like $30 million just for this lawsuit. They're going to make that much money. Do you believe that? We're all in the wrong business. It's kind of like criminal again. I mean, it's just nuts, right? I know they're trying to get us money, but like then we end up getting like, they even said it'll be less than $20 because they're taking that big cut. So the people will get like $15. The lawyers will make $30 million. It's just insane. I know it's more about penalizing them. So the crazy thing here is, though, this is, Apple, the reason I'm kind of, shocked is because Apple agreed to pay it, right? That means they're kind of saying that they were, but they're not really. So what Apple says right here is, despite agreeing to pay, Apple still denied any wrongdoing in the settlement. Apple did not formally respond to the publication's request for comment. So it says the lawsuit claimed that Apple had unlawfully recorded conversations without permission via the use of Siri. Some plaintiffs claim that the discussions of products such as the Air Jordan and Olive Garden restaurants prompted ads to be served for those products. However, Apple's privacy systems would prevent such targeted advertising. All right? But that's not what they're talking about. It said basically the suit surfaced following reports that human contractors were used to review private and sensitive recordings in the quality assurance program intended to improve Siri's accuracy. A small number of recordings were passed on to contractors working for a third-party firm, the report has claimed. The team were asked with working out whether a particular Siri activation was accidental or performed on purpose, and they were able to listen to very sensitive or personal information, and Apple didn't disclose that. So real people were listening, and whether it's right or wrong or whether they even knew who they were listening to, it doesn't really matter because it wasn't disclosed, and that's why they're paying that, which is kind of shocking and kind of surprising. So just be careful out there with all this stuff going around. It's pretty scary. Okay, we got a little product here. Now, I like to talk about this one only because I like these little products. Now, they're not the best. They're not going to be the fastest. But this is called a GG Mundo. It's basically a hub, and you can see it here. I'll show you some pictures online, too, but it's $54. It's just sitting right here. It's a hub. It's got a whole bunch of ports, the SD card readers, 2 USB-A slots, a USB-C slot, perfect ports in the front, maybe for a Mac Mini back there. On the back, it's got other stuff as well. And the reason I love this thing is you can also throw in an SSD in here. It's only $54.99. Take a look over here on Amazon. So it's a 10 gigabit per second. It takes NVMe drives, but it also takes, let me see here. And this is what I recommend with this thing. If I can get in here somewhere and find it, I can't find it in here. Okay, right here. So it fits all this, but it also fits SATA drives. You can see just the M or B plus M key SATA, and that's what I actually have in here. So these things actually do a great job of being a hub, but they don't do a great job of cooling the SSD a lot of times. So I actually just use this with a SATA M.2 drive in here. It stays super cool then, and you get a ton of extra storage. It gets up to about that 5, just like a SATA drive, 550 megabytes per second. So fast enough just to move data off your system, like a Mac Mini or something, if you want to do it for backups or for, Mac backups and stuff on your system. But overall, I wouldn't put the really fast NVMe drives in these things because they do heat up a little bit. You can take the top off here and, obviously in the top, you can throw the drive. I have a drive in there right now with some heat tape on it. But I mean, I have a SATA drive in there because that's what I like to use. So anyways, for $54, you get the hub, you get the extra ports, you get the SD card readers, you throw in a SATA drive. I think it's good. Okay, this next article, it's just one thing I want to take out of it because we've talked about this, the iPhone 17 Air, like a ton of times already. And I think I have one more thing I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But long story short, we already went through like it's going to be way thinner and stuff. It says right here, the iPhone 17 Air's thickness and price range revealed in a new report. And like I said, we already talked about it. It's going to be 20% thinner than, 20% thinner than the iPhone 16 and 17 and around 25% thinner than the iPhone 16 Pro. So it's going to be quite a bit thinner. But the thing that I wanted to get in here was the price. So it says right here, the report said that ultra-thin iPhone 17's price will be similar to that of the iPhone 16 Plus, which starts at $899 in the United States. So I just wanted to kind of drop that price. It wasn't good. Some people were saying it could be $1,200, $1,300. It looks like it's going to be $899 for that slim. You're going to lose some features. You're going to win some features. There's a whole bunch of information. I'm not going to do it in this video. But overall, I think that's actually a good price depending on what comes with it. So we'll wait and see. Okay, this next one's another rumor, so we don't know if it's 100% true, but I think it is, and it's good to know just in case you see this in some kind of document or something, or some news, and you're like, what in the world is this? Mac rumors. It says the iPhone SE4 rumored to be named the iPhone 16e. So basically, the iPhone SE4, which again, I'm messing it up right here. It's kind of confusing, like to say that and stuff. But now it's going to be named the iPhone 16e. So the 16e is going to be in there, which is kind of cool, I guess. But I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that might be coming. They're obviously making they want to kind of make it a little bit closer to the other models as far as the name, and not to have it way down in the bottom. And I think that's a good idea because I mean the iPhone SE4 just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay, so we have one more rumor here on the iPhone SE4 or the iPhone 16e. I don't know what's easier to say there, but in any case, here's one more rumor from Mac Rumors. It says the iPhone SE4 could be more expensive. So that kind of worries me because I want to get that in between $400 and $500. Is it still there? If you kind of scroll down here, it says previous reports have indicated that the new model may continue to be priced starting at $429 or see an increase around 10% at best. This would place it around $470. Apple reports reportedly plans to keep the pricing below $500 in the United States. Now, I was reading it could be up to $540 in Korea. You can see it here, South Korea. But it looks like, based on this, it's going to go up about 10% and be around $470 before tax. They want to keep it under $500. So my guess is $499. So I think that I feel a little bit better now. Obviously it's going to come with a whole bunch of new stuff here. It says it's going to upgrade a Face ID, a more modern all-screen design, OLED, USB-C, and more. So it's going to definitely come out in around March 2025. So we think for that much, an extra $60, $70, I'm willing to pay it. Okay, this next one's kind of a bad news article because you guys have heard of net neutrality. We actually lost something, very recently here, and I don't think a lot of people know this yet. So here it is from 9to5Mac. It says net neutrality protections again lost as federal court overrules the FCC. So down here it says the right to net neutrality has again been lost after a federal court ruled that the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, did not have the power to ban a two-tier internet. So the FCC had acted in response to calls from Apple and more than 40 other tech companies to safeguard equal treatment for all. This means that the internet providers, ISPs, and mobile carriers will again be free to accept payments from large websites and services to proprietize the traffic over the rest of the internet. So net neutrality means that the internet service providers had to treat all websites and internet services equally. They couldn't take payment from sites, speeding up their traffic while slowing down traffic for the rest of the web. They also couldn't take money from one service to block traffic to a rival one. But that was actually just struck down by a judge. So, this may be worked out and stuff like that, but as of this ruling, it looks like they're saying the FCC did not have the right to do that. They can't do this. They didn't have a right to limit this to this. So now it looks like we're in a worse position. If you look at here, this is 9to5Mac. It says, let me just see here. What is their take on this? Let me just see here. It says right here, their take. This is bad news for both startups and consumers. It means that the tech giants can pay ISPs to give them more bandwidth than the smaller competitors. That reduces competition and leaves consumers worse off as the result. So if these big companies that have thousands and trillions of money now, even Apple's probably one of them, they can actually pay money to have more, I guess, resources than some of their competition, like the small companies. Which in a sense it seems okay, but at the end of the day, like there's limited pipes and it's more of a monopoly. The providers out there, there's not too many options for a lot of people, so it could be catastrophic for some companies. Okay, we got a couple more sales here. I think 2 here, and then we got 1 at the end. Here's a Mac Mini. It's just a different kind of model you can pick up here that I just wanted to kind of say, hey, it's on sale. This is from Micro Center, believe it or not. This is the Apple Mac Mini right here. Obviously, it's the M4, but this one's got 24 gigs of RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD. So both upgrades there, and it's $899. So $100 off, usually $999. So I still think this one's a really good price. I think this is a model for $899. I think it's a fair price. And it's probably a really good one for a lot of people to pick up, with the 24 gigs of RAM in there. So that's at Micro Center right now. And obviously, if you're overseas, you may not know about this company. It's more local, but it's throughout the United States. Here's another one that's more local, but this is B&H right here. Not the best sale, but at least it's something. And there's not a lot of sales on MacBooks right now. It's the Apple 14-inch MacBook Pro right here, obviously the M4. So what is this? It's got 16 gigs of RAM, but also 1 terabyte. That's the difference. So it's just the standard M4 chip, not the M4 Pro chip, but it's got the 1 terabyte SSD, $1629. That's $170 off what it would normally be. So I think that's a pretty good deal. I mean, I don't think most people don't need more than the M4. They don't need the M4 Pro, but they do need more storage, especially with Apple Intelligence, as I talked about earlier. So $1629 I think is a fair price. Okay, so if you finally want to get rid of your driver's license and go digital, what states are coming out next? Here it is for Mac Rumors. Apple plans to expand iPhone driver's licenses to these 7 U.S. states. So what are they? Let's scroll down. So right now the supported states are right here: Arizona, Maryland, Colorado, Georgia, Ohio, Hawaii, California, Iowa, and New Mexico. It says future sites. Let me go down here. So the future states, states that are coming out here are basically Montana, West Virginia, Connecticut, Kentucky, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Utah. And of course, it's not Illinois because Illinois is the worst state out of all 50 of them for everything, basically. Don't move here. I want to get in my soapbox. Long story short, though, if you're waiting for that, those new states are coming. Okay, so if you're looking at the new iPhone 17 coming out, over a 16, let's say you have a 15 right now and you're waiting, you probably should wait because here's some good news here. Mac Rumors, standard iPhone 17 display again said to feature higher refresh rate. Apple's standard iPhone 17 next year will feature a display with a higher refresh rate, potentially bringing ProMotion technology to the base model of Apple's flagship iPhone lineup. So obviously, let's just keep going. It says this Chinese leaker claimed that over the weekend that the supply chain materials collaborated rumors basically about a higher refresh rate coming to the standard iPhone 17. The leaker did not mention specific hertz, but the previous rumors have suggested 120 with the ProMotion. Apple's expected to use the low-temperature polycrystalline oxide panels for all iPhone 17 models, which enables ProMotion due to its superior power efficiency. Long story short, it looks like it's going to be going from 60 hertz on those kind of base level models up to the 120. So just another reason to wait. Okay, so another one about Apple, because I've heard this is kind of funny. I just want to read these things, but it's actually kind of scary. And we've heard this is like the 3rd time I've talked about this. So all those little things on Apple Intelligence that give you kind of summaries of things going on in your phone and stuff, a lot of times they're wrong, and they're very scary wrong. They could be very bad, right? So now the BBC's kind of, I don't know if they're suing them or they're saying that this has to stop instantly. Right here from Apple Insider, Apple Intelligence summaries are still screwing up headlines, right? So it says down here, the UK BBC is continuing to complain about the notification summaries created by Apple Intelligence, with iPhone users being misinformed and misinterpreted headlines. So I read through the article, and they said the BBC is saying, we're a news station, you're giving the readers the wrong information, and we're responsible for it. So something's going to happen here, trust me. They got to get this nailed down. It says one summary based on a headline from Thursday evening claimed that the darts player Luke Littler had won the PDC World Championship. In reality, he had only completed the semifinal, with the final itself being held on Friday night. Now, that doesn't seem like a huge, that's a blunder, but is it a huge thing? No, but still, it's a major thing. But what about the second one? Okay, in the second example, it says right here, headlines from the BBC Sport app were condensed down to claim that the Brazilian tennis player Rafael Nadal, he's basically a great tennis player, comes out as gay. It is believed that the real headline was for a story about a Brazilian gay tennis player. Loa Lucas, whatever, and not the Spanish Nadal. So they made a mistake that bad from that. So they actually said that someone came out as gay when they weren't. And again, obviously that's getting a little bit more serious. But I've heard of even more serious things like saying someone has died or something when they haven't. That's even like the cream of the crop as far as being serious. So something's going to happen. They got to fix this. And it's just more examples of just pure stupidity. Okay, so we got a final sale here, and then we're going to wrap it up. Let me just take a quick sip. If you've never been to Munich, Germany, definitely hit this Hofbrauhaus here in Munich. Love the place. So here we go with the last sale here. And it's not a great one, but it's still on sale. That's the key here because a lot of things are not right now. It's the Apple iPad Air 11-inch M2 here, built for the Apple Intelligence. 17% off, and Apple doesn't usually give you 17%. It's $4.99 instead of $5.99. You can still pick this up. So that's, I think, a fair price. Is it the low price alert? I think it's hovering around there, but overall, who knows? It's still about as good as you can do anywhere right now. All right, we're going to wrap up this weekend Apple news back here. Again, this is more of a shortened version. Sometimes I go like 40 minutes or something, but at the end of the day, it's been a long holiday weekend, and we'll talk to everybody in the next one starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.